Alexandra Chen jolted awake to a sharp pain in her head, her eyes fluttering against the dim, flickering light of a small, windowless room. The air smelled stale, metallic almost, and the walls pressed in around her, cold and rough to the touch. She tried to recall how she got here, but her mind felt foggy, memories fragmented like broken glass scattered across her brain. Her fingers grazed the door handle, locked. Panic clawed up her throat. Something wasn't right. A crumpled piece of paper lay on the floor. She picked it up, reading the jagged handwriting, "Find the key before it's too late." Her pulse raced. The words felt alive, almost mocking her. As she scanned the room for another exit, a vague memory teased her: shadows, footsteps, a scream, but it vanished before it could form. Alone, trapped, and confused, Alexandra realized her nightmare had only just begun. The room offered little comfort. Alexandra's pulse thudded in her ears as she inspected her surroundings: a dusty dresser, a chair, and the flickering fluorescent light overhead that made every shadow look alive. Her hands were scraped, clothes torn, suggesting some struggle she couldn't recall. Her mind kept teasing her with flashes, metal scraping, distant whispers, a shadow moving just out of sight, but each fragment dissolved like smoke. In desperation, she dug through the dresser drawer and found a wristwatch and a tiny unmarked key that didn't fit the door. Nothing made sense. Fear gnawed at her. Every small noise, the hum of the lights, a shift in the air, felt intentional, as if the room itself was watching, waiting. Alexandra's thoughts raced. Whoever, or whatever, had brought her here was not leaving any room for error. The clock ticked too loud. She had to find answers. A faint scrape echoed from the corridor beyond the locked door. Alexandra froze, straining to hear. A shadow moved under the crack of the door. Her chest constricted, and she held her breath as a low, menacing voice whispered, "You're running out of time." She recoiled, heart hammering, unsure whether to hide or confront the presence. Then silence, oppressive and heavy, fell over the room. She realized she wasn't merely trapped, she was being monitored, tested, manipulated. Every sound, every flicker of the light, made the walls feel like they were closing in. Her mind screamed at her to escape, but where? There was only the locked door, the small vent, and the shadows that seemed to move on their own. Alexandra understood the stakes now. Survival would require not only courage, but a reckoning with the unknown entity controlling her world. Alexandra's eyes adjusted to the dim lighting, revealing details she hadn't noticed before. Faint scratches on the floor pointed toward a corner where a notebook had been half buried under dust. Its pages were filled with cryptic numbers, dates, and the name Elliot Kane. She shivered, sensing a connection she couldn't yet recall. One page read, "The truth is locked, the key is memory." Her pulse quickened. Elliot Kane, the name tugged at something deep in her mind. She felt the pieces of her lost memory brushing against her consciousness: a lab, experiments, locked drawers, the drip of water echoing somewhere distant. Alexandra realized that every clue in the room was designed to provoke recognition, to trigger recollection. But with each passing second, the tension built, suffocating her, pushing her toward a confrontation she wasn't ready for yet. Determined to escape, Alexandra tested every wall, floorboard, and vent. Her hands bled from scraping against rough metal edges. Then she found it, a small vent just wide enough to squeeze through. Relief surged, only to be tempered by a shadow flickering across the room. Someone, or something, was watching, returning. Adrenaline sharpened her senses as she wriggled through the vent, scraping herself on the edges, every scrape a reminder of the danger that awaited. The corridor beyond was narrow, dimly lit, lined with doors she did not recognize. She paused, listening to the subtle echo of footsteps behind her. Every second was a countdown. Every flicker of light a heartbeat of danger. Survival demanded focus, speed, and nerve, yet every instinct screamed that escape would not be simple. The corridor ended at a stairwell. At the bottom, a figure waited. Tall, lean, perfectly still, Elliot Kane. Alexandra's memory jolted with flashes of lab equipment, locked drawers, and a moment of betrayal she couldn't yet fully place. Her breath caught, hands trembling, but she refused to back down. Elliot's eyes held an unsettling calm. You don't remember, do you? His voice was smooth, deliberate, precise. Alexandra felt the weight of the room shift, the tension pressing down on her chest. The air seemed to vibrate. She realized the key wasn't metal or paper, it was recollection. Remembering the truth. And facing him meant confronting everything she had buried. Every suppressed memory now demanded recognition. Every fragment mattered. The standoff was more than physical, it was a psychological test, and the consequences were absolute. Suddenly, clarity. Memories flooded back, Alexandra's research, the experiments, the choices that had led her here. She remembered why the memory had been erased: danger, secrecy, and protection. Elliot Kane was not just a captor, he was the living embodiment of the truth she had tried to forget. The key had always been inside her, the ability to remember, to confront, to survive. She stepped forward, the fear in her chest replaced with sharp focus. Shadows twisted around her as Elliot remained still, observing. Alexandra understood now that survival was not merely about escape, it was about claiming her past, understanding what had been done to her, and facing the consequences of forgotten actions. Every heartbeat was a victory, every memory a weapon. The labyrinth of fear, memory, and truth had finally revealed itself, and Alexandra was ready.